Welcome back. Social media gives people a place to connect. Unfortunately, it also puts kids at risk of seeing harmful content. That's why a coalition of organizations is launching a global contest to make social media safer for today's youth. Joining us to share more about this campaign and how you can participate is Protect Young Eyes founder Chris McKenna. Thank you so much for being here with us.
My pleasure, Emily. Good morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is a big issue affecting families all over, right? So tell us about the Kids Keep It Digitally Safe campaign.
Well, we're in a bit of an experiment with our children, right?
Yes.
Technologies that are new that we're finding out how it impacts our kids. And like anything that's new, over time we discover more and more about it. And I don't think there's any question if you're a parent, a caregiver, or a grandparent today, we know that children are impacted by their screens. And in particular, social media, right? We love to connect.
Yes.
All young people love to connect. I mean, even adults, we love to connect. That's not the problem here. It's just that the way in which we can connect and with the algorithms and the content, it's not always what's best for our kids, right? And so we just want to create awareness. After all this time of not really knowing much about these digital spaces, now we know more. And so let's share what we know so that parents can make informed decisions about what's best for their kids.
Absolutely. I mean, you make such a good point. This is something that's still fairly new. We don't really know the true effects of it, 50, 60 years down the line. So how exactly does the campaign work? Is there a place that families can go to get this information?
So you can go to keepitdigitallysafe.org, and this is a bit of a competition, right? We want young people to submit artwork, could be videos, could be slogans that communicate this message. Right, so there's other things in society where we have labels to inform us, right? Whether it's about seatbelts or on tobacco to inform us of harms, things that are legal, yet we know that for certain people there are harms that we need to be aware of, and particularly with our children. So we want to make this a contest that people would submit ideas for what these labels could look like.
I see.
And then there'll be a winner that's selected, but by going to the website, you can make those submissions. You can do it as an individual, or you could have a team that comes together to work on something and then submit those through the website.
I love it. I mean, it really is something that, like you said, this is still fairly new. It seems like we've been doing it now for a couple of decades.
Does,
but as you mentioned, I mean, we see these warnings all the time, maybe on cigarettes or alcohol, things that aren't necessarily banned completely, but it say, hey, use some caution.
That's right.
When you're using this.
And like I said, it's because it's our children, right? And human beings are complex. You put us inside of something, or we try something, or we eat something. Sometimes the impacts aren't always obvious right away. And so what I think we're finding is now we're seeing that there are some impacts, whether it's the content that children see that is sometimes just too much too soon, right? Or the pressures that are felt, right? I don't know about you, I feel the pressures on social media,
absolutely.
right? Whether it's the type of photos or comparing yourselves, those are amplified by a factor of 100 when you're a young person, where it's all about fitting in. It's all about comparison. It's all about how others are around you. And those are just pressures that normal teens felt before any of this, right? In an analog world. Now you have 10,000 different versions of that all around you in your pocket. And so we just need parents to be more aware. Again, we're not anti-technology, right? The organization that I run, Protect Young Eyes, we are for it. I run a business through technology. But it's all about right kid, right tech, right time. And we want this kids campaign to create this awareness so parents can make that decision about what's right for their kid at this time.
Yeah, it's all about using it responsibly.
That's right.
Right? And I love this idea of allowing the kids to create this message, this warning label per se, because perhaps they can find a way to communicate with one another better than we could.
Well, that's right. And I think as adults, we don't do a good enough job in inviting their voice into this, right? It's all about, well, tech is bad. Well, I didn't have it, so maybe it feels that way as an adult, right? I'm old and that wasn't my childhood, right? But I think they can teach us so much if we listen to them. There are better ways to use technology. Again, it's not a binary, either you have it or you don't. It's what are the better ways and what are the informed ways? And we really want parents to have that information to make those informed decisions, but for us to listen to the kids to tell us what is and isn't good for them because they often know. We're just not listening.
Oh, so true. So what does this process look like if a kid is watching and they're like, I've got an idea, I want to submit my artwork? What does that process look like, and what are the different forms of art that you're accepting for this competition?
Sure. So the website is keepitdigitallysafe.org. I mean, let mom or dad know, right? We want this to be somewhat of a collaborative, informed, just like the whole spirit of this is information, right? We want them to be informed. And through the website, there's instructions, and this can take all various forms. It could be a slogan, it could be a short paragraph, it could be art, it could be video. Of course, it has to be appropriate, I mean, obviously, but all of those different types of art or content are going to be considered. Then there's a first place, second place, third place. First place prize is $5,000.
Wow.
Right? That's okay. Yeah, and then $3,000, and then from there. And if you're a team, that would be split, but that's how it's going to work. There's an incentive.
Yeah, I would say that's more than okay. So is this the first time that you all are doing a competition like this?
It is, and I want to be clear that we are one of multiple global organizations that are a part of this. So Protect Young Eyes is my organization, but there are many others from all over the world who have come together to say, hey, let's do something. Warning labels aren't the end-all be-all. It's just one of various tools that we think are necessary. There's all kinds of items that we believe are necessary in order to change awareness and change culture around social media. This is one. We think there need to be better policies in terms of reining in abusive technologies. We think companies themselves, the developers themselves, need to do a much better job of sorting children from adults and then creating safer digital experiences for those children. So all of these different layers in society need to be doing, in my opinion,
A better job.
all of us advocates who are a part of this, a better job. This is just one small way to increase that awareness.
Absolutely. Well, we've got time for maybe one more question. Can you talk about what else your organization does? I mean, obviously, this is a great competition for young people to get involved in this conversation. And what else are you wanting people to know in terms of what you all are doing to help with this issue?
Sure. So we tackle at multiple levels. I do some policy work, I write legislation, and I testify. But I have a team that travels all over the country doing presentations for parents, creating this awareness. Our website, protectyoungeyes.com, has a massive amount of free guides, how to set up your different, whether it's Chromebooks or your smart TV, in order to keep it safe, but also how to have conversations, just all these tips and tools for parents and grandparents and caregivers, practical things. You don't need to be an IT expert. That's why we created the website, is to step by step. So there's self-help there, but then we also love being brought in by schools or churches to create that awareness in large events, speaking to students, and making sure everybody knows what they need to know.
Well, I'm sure there are parents listening who will be glad to hear about those resources because they're feeling like you do have to be an IT expert to figure some of this stuff out.
That's right.
So I know they'll be glad to hear that there is help available. Thank you so much for joining us this
Thank you,
morning.
Emily.
Great chatting with you, Sam.